Hello and welcome to your in-depth forecast for January 2001 for the Ascendant or the Sun. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, you can check out my year 2021 personal horoscope special offer by clicking the link beneath this video. You can order your chart, your forecast and character analysis, and based on your time, date and place of birth, gain searing insights into your personal individual potential for this coming year. But in terms of your zodiac sign or ascendant, the most glorious thing, of course, is that your co-regent Saturn and Jupiter are together, crested together at the start of this year and this month in your sign. Let's think about the characteristics of these signs. Pretty well everyone knows that Saturn has got the reputation of being the bad guy of the zodiac. But Saturn is the glue that helps us to keep life together. It gives us the discipline to climb out of bed when we're tired and turn up to work hard, to show endeavour, perspiration and application. So it can be a really great asset used in the right way. It can be limiting. And I think if you're someone who wants to be much more in tune with your individuality, if you're giving up some other form of income, for example, to focus on a talent you have, then for sure you're going to have to really roll your sleeves up, and it might not be a walk in the park. But the bigger picture is that you're actually embracing your talent and just accepting that in order to manifest the rewards, you're at the start of the process with Saturn in your sign. So think back, if you're old enough, 27, 28 years ago, when this event happened last time, particularly if you're born right at the start of Aquarius, and you'll get a feel for what happened then. Will played out to a degree now. But the alliance with Jupiter is extraordinarily rare. It hasn't happened since 1405. And Jupiter's characteristics are about growth, optimism and fortune. And it's said that when Jupiter is in our own sign, as it is once every 12 years, that can bring abundance in all sorts of ways. The thing we can't do with Jupiter is expect that it's just going to be handed to us on a plate. That need to be very applied is part of the formula. But also from the 8th of this month, Mercury moves into Aquarius, and from the 19th, the Sun. So a lot of Aquarius energy. Aquarius energy is going to be a welcome and antidote, if you like, to the crashing eclipse series that have gone on between Cancer and Capricorn over the last few years. It brings us an opportunity to raise our consciousness about our need to be individualistic, but also connected to others. And I think that's something that you're going to do with aplomb. Also, if we go back to the solar eclipse of the 14th of December, that's very much about the future, your big ideas that may have not always gained much respect in the past, because you can be so future orientated, can now come very much into vogue, and that can raise your profile and also give you quite a buzz. New friendships can come into your situation. You can realign your future in a way which is much more in keeping with your personal values. Also, your popularity can be boosted by the location of Venus in a wonderful alliance with Mars at the start of this year. So this is a solar return energy which provides a backdrop for the whole of 21. Expect people to want to be in touch with you, chatting to you, and it's going to be really nice to feel that greater warmth and simpatico after the freezing dark solitude and isolation and dissing that you may have experienced over the last few years, as Saturn and Pluto and then Jupiter aligned in your 12th solar house. Now, of course, you still have the Sun there, as always at this time of year, Mercury and initially, and also Pluto. So the psychological stuff's still cooking away, so it's about embracing the lessons of the last few years, bringing them into how you approach things, remaining sensitive and attuned to others, but at the same time having greater confidence to be yourself. And if that means you know, dyeing your hair green and doing this, that and the other, then have the confidence to do it. But of course there is a duality to Aquarius people, because often Aquarius people can embrace a lot of traditional values and not necessarily be quite as radical as some people think. And I think the radical area in this month for you is going to be around your home, because Mars moves into that area from the 7th, and already you have Uranus there, which has been shaking up things since the middle of May 2018 to the middle of October 18, from the 7th of March 19. And if you felt very restless where you're living, or there's been a separation from some people that you used to be close to, it really wouldn't be a surprise. But with Mars driving its way into Taurus from the 7th, and then coming into an exact conjunction with Uranus around the time that the Sun moves into Aquarius on the 19th, that could be a critical point for something to finally break through for you that you've wanted to happen, some kind of big shake-up. And that can prove to be very, very exciting indeed, but it could also prove to be somewhat unsettling. But you know, change always does bring some kind of reverberation. Staying as we are, particularly for fixed signs like Aquarius, gives us a sense of comfort, a sense of solidity, of routine, of familiarity. All these things are lovely, but they can also start to become quite stupefyingly boring. And if you are wanting to be much more daring in your approach, the downside is that with Saturn and Jupiter, and particularly Jupiter squaring up with Uranus all this month, as you push to change something, it is going to inevitably be a little bit, in another way, unsettling. Perhaps all the way to being slightly destabilizing in some ways. But it's a time when I just feel that if things haven't been working out where you live, or in your family life, or in a close emotional relationship, just staying in it, because that's what people do. It just isn't going to work for you. You have to regain your power. And I'm not saying that you've given your power away hugely deliberately. It's not an accusation. We all can lose our power by becoming too concerned about doing what we think other people expect us to do, and that dilutes our power. Or if we don't get the recognition for our creativity and talents because we're different and we don't quite fit the mold, that can be underwhelming too. But I mean this in a very positive way. Your desire to be you is going to be so strong this month. It's awesome. And that's going to be boosted once Mercury moves into Aquarius on the 8th. On the same day, Venus moves into your 12th house. Watch out for someone's body language if you're single. It may not be a verbal communication, but someone could let you know in a subtle way they're actually very interested in you. So just be conscious of that. Also, if you are thinking about a relationship and the relationship isn't working quite so well, the move of Venus can see you wanting to focus more on your individual needs and not be quite so tuned into others. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, because Mars and Venus are forging that electric and fiery alliance at the start of this year, remember, if some people do go out of your world, they are going to be replaced by more invigorating companions. So have faith in this new future that's developing for you. And that really comes into crystal clarity from the 19th, when the Sun enters Aquarius, immediately aligning with Saturn. And they immediately, pretty well, within a few degrees, go into a right angle to Uranus, your modern ruler, which ends its retrograde on the 14th. So if there has been some kind of saga going on around where you live or a family matter, I think it can start to evolve into something more purposeful that's moving forwards from the middle of this month. Now, there is a full moon which occurs in your opposite sign on the 28th. Weirdly, the moon is in Leo at the turn of the year opposite Saturn. So if there is a relationship which doesn't really give you a lot of uplift, that could be a break point, but also at the end of the month as well. And then Mercury has gone into shadow and then goes into retrograde in your sign on the 30th. And it could be that something that you've tried to go forwards with just then seems to be kind of going forwards, but as you're trying to go forwards, you're slipping backwards. We've got a weir near where I live, and the River Severn was really swollen. And as the salmon tried to get over the weir, they just couldn't because of the force of the water. It may be a little bit like that for you towards the end of this month, but keep the faith, because even if you're reorientating towards this bright and brave new future, which the solar eclipse in Sagittarius suggests it's going to be for you, there are going to be some obstacles. There are going to be some bumps in the road. It's not all going to flow along at 1,000,000 miles an hour and exactly as you and I, as an Aquarius, would like. And there may be some elements of the plan that need to be modified in some way or adapted, and that could prove to be frustrating. Take a breath, pat yourself down, let your shoulders come down, go back into yourself and say, I can do this. I've got the confidence to turn this round against any obstacles that come up. And you might find the solution that ultimately emerges might actually be better than your original plan. That often happens with Mercury retrograde. So for us Aquarius people, the future is brighter. There is a sense of coming more into the here and now. There could be a little bit of reflection around a relationship which isn't cooking on gas, and you may be quite rebellious if you want to break away from something that isn't working. And that's going to be a pattern that goes on for the first 7 months of this year as your modern ruler clashes with your traditional ruler. So Uranus and Saturn are not in simpatico for the first 7 months of this year. But I think, as ever, that's almost like a bit of a battle between that side of you that's very interested in the future, being zany, being very different, and the side of you that would just prefer the quiet life, quiet reflection, and just, you know, making your way quietly and sometimes privately along the road of discovery. But I think the two areas of staying with what you know and going for something new and exciting are going to cause a degree of tension this year, but they are going to bring opportunities, and it's just going through the phases with a big heart and really taking it on, because the last few years have been so miserable at times. This now is a platform to thrive. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Take care, stay safe, good luck, and goodbye.